Hey guys, welcome back to my watercolor channel, and today I paint a brown hen. I prepared my colors of yellow ochre, cadmium red, then some red of cadmium red and crimson red, as well as some brown out of cadmium red, ultramarine blue and yellow ochre. And then I have some purple made out of cadmium red and ultramarine blue. So I have on one side a little bit of warmer purple and then a little bit of colder purple. The first thing that I do is basically water the main parts of the hen. I wanted to use some yellow ochre, some pure one, at the top, and it's really watered down because I want to create some highlights. So basically the back and the neck of the hen is in the sunlight, and I don't want to have too strong colors, as well as adding now a little bit more of the orange around the body, so underneath the wings, to add some kind of roundness. I also start to add some brown color. While the paper is still wet, I try to orientate myself on the reference photo. What does it look like, and where can I add some darker shades of brown, as well as some purple. The purple, the cadmium in the purple is quite important because it gives a nice warm color, and it fits nicely with the overall colors of the brown hen. So I continue to add some feathers and with light brush strokes as well, so really building up the round form of the different body parts of the hen. And try not to be heavy onto the paint, because I want to have some contrast between the darker and the lighter areas. But it all looks already quite good. I mixed some green out of turquoise blue, as well as lemon yellow for the ground, so it is, despite me having autumn weather, it's a little bit of a summertime for the brown hen, relaxing the last nice green grass. I continue with the comb of the hen, so I add a very light layer of yellow ochre and then the prepared red colors. I don't want it to be too heavy, and then adding a little bit of a darker highlights using just a cadmium red. A bit careful here not to add too much. And as well as adding some red onto the wattle. So being a bit careful tapping the paint there. I continue with the face, so around the beak and around the eye, and the same way as I have done before, a light yellow ochre, and then onto the beak. Try to be a bit careful here, so adding a light, very light purple for the shadowy parts, and using a quite thin brush. And then part of the paper has already dried, so it's possible to add a second layer, and it's a very light purple. I spread carefully the paint around the eye because the eye is quite important, so I don't want to overdo it. And I add some salt onto the chest. After everything has dried, I continue with the head, so adding more colors here, such as orange as well as the brown. I waited that the first layer dried completely, so it's really important to do so if you want to have the first layer shining through. Because I want to have the chest much darker compared to the rest of the body, so I started to add much darker colors or colors with more pigment. However, I don't want to overpaint the salty effect on the chest, and I orientate myself on the reference picture as well as onto the body form of the chicken, such as being careful with the roundness of the different body parts, so such as the wing, chest, and the top of the chicken, or the back of the chicken. And then also around the back side, lower part of the chicken, adding medium strength paint there. And it's basically the same colors that I have used before, so out of yellow, ochre, some brown, and as well a bit of a purple, but I decided to add in, for the balance sake, some reddish colors, and then slightly adding a bit water and spreading the paint around. So this part is a little bit more of a time taking because it's really focusing on the feathers of the chicken, and it's not that precise, but I really want that the feathers kind of go into the right direction, as well as the first layer comes through, so there is a nice contrast there. I make some more purple, more of the dark purple. I see adding some more cadmium red and ultramarine blue. So now really working with heavier colors. Preparing that there's enough paint, I think this is quite important when working with the watercolors and you have a little bit of a bigger painting. You want to cover certain parts with dark colors, so it needs to be ready ahead and not mixing the colors during the process as such, because and then it can look a little bit too messy there. The idea actually of painting this brown hen, I got it from this article in The Guardian, a pet that I never forget. I'm not sure about the title, but something similar. And this particular hen has been living on the Scottish countryside. So the family had a few hens, and this one was at the lower order of this pack of chickens who did not live very long, and she was the last one which was left. The family actually did not give her a name, so it was called Brown Hen, so that they don't get too attached. And after all the other chickens were gone, she decided that the human family is her new pack, and I'm not sure if it's pack with birds, beds, and she started to follow the kids or the adults as such when they were outdoor activities, and instead of just focusing on eating or what chickens usually do. So she really wanted to get involved. She also made friends with some local pheasants, but a pine mother moved in close by, and the neighbor chickens as well as the pheasants started to disappear. However, she was the survivor and died out of old age. So she made it quite far, and I was quite impressive that chickens are usually being was like characters of as not very smart birds or not very touch easily. But it seems that this brown hen has quite a peaceful and colorful life at the end. As well as one thing which was particular is she never laid an egg. That was the brown hen. I continue here with the feed, and I just add as well some yellow ochre there, light brown, and then adding onto the dark areas, so to the side some indigo blue to give some two shades, and having two different colors there so it's not too boring. It's because of the sunlight is shining onto the back. I need to have the background a little bit darker. I have to admit that I struggled here because it felt like that it's way too light. What I like to do is putting a little bit next to the main object the same colors what I have used for it, but very diluted, so it's kind of like wet to wet. As you can see, adding here the same crimson and cadmium red mixture at the top, so it and some yellow ochre around the chest areas. I add here some more of the grass, so it's really a bit of a olive green grass, basically having ultramarine blue and some lemon yellow, and working here a little bit onto the background area and adding much more structure there, as well as underneath the claws and the feet adding more of a darker colors. A bit brown here, and then mixing more brown, some reddish brown, and then I added to the lower part, so underneath the chest, both the legs, and then as well as some purple. I continue with the comb and the water. And then adding here and there a few bits, as well as adding some salt underneath the chickens around the lower area. Now I just really emphasize the different parts, so it's kind of like adding more roundness and then a few details. I don't want to overdo it too much. I work here with a light layer of yellow ochre, and my brush contains a lot of paint, as well as adding here a few browns, so that a few feathers are more or less emphasized, as well as its direction, and it's slightly mixing with the yellow ochre, so it's a bit wet to wet. You can see that the background is still very light, and now I try to emphasize it a little bit. I waited again that everything has dried, so I take a different brush and dip it into water and try to take off some of the paint. It's easier to add highlights, but I have noticed that with this paper it's rather more difficult once the paint has basically dried, so I leave it for now, and I think the highlights and the roundness are somewhat okay. I add here a bit of a dark color, and then as well as emphasizing a few of the feathers. A bit to the side. And a bit underneath. So really, it was a nice, beautiful reference picture where the sun was shining onto the brown hen, and the different forms around the body came out quite nicely, as well as adding a little bit more color to the tail. I don't like too much to add very hard edges which is around the body, surprisingly. But I like the mixture of having a little bit of soft edges as well as hard edges. I work a little bit on the head underneath the comb, so there is a bit more of a purple and yellow ochre, as well as emphasizing the eye and the beak, and then adding more color to the comb or around the comb, so that the form of it comes out much better, especially as it was very light in color. And adding some paint to the water and to the chest and underneath the hackle, so the neck area. But yes, just with a few bits here and there to give it more contrast rather than detail. I still work a bit with the background, so I wasn't too thrilled with it, and I add a little bit wet to wet technique and adding more color, and then a few feathers. But yes, now I add more cooler colors, such as the cobalt blue above the chicken. So like I said, it's a really nice summer day. However, the color is not too strong, so a bit of a lighter layer, as well as of the rest of the chicken, and then sprinkle a little bit of the different colors onto the painting. So I like doing that. But basically that was it, and it was fun doing this brown hen. I really like this comb of different pads. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe. Bye!